Hey everyone, welcome to episode 294, Managing Your Anger. Welcome to the Harmony in the Home podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Hutchison. I'm a counselor, a life coach, and most importantly, an imperfect mom doing this work right along with you. And my goal on our podcast is to go from chaos to calm, feel less frazzled, and have more fun within your four walls to have more harmony in your home. So this is a hot topic today, no pun intended. I get this email, this question so much of like, Kelly, why am I so angry? Why am I freaking out? I'm freaking out and I'm overreacting and I don't know why. And then my kids overreact and now I know why they are, but I can't stop. So how are they supposed to help them to stop? Very common. Don't worry. I got you, boo. Before we talk about that, I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, letter writing, which I am so excited about. I've barely been posting about it just in my stories and on the podcast about a side gig for you of letter writing. You earn up to $5 per letter. Each letter takes 4 to 6 minutes. You do it during your cracks of your day. It's not to replace your day job, but it's to produce extra income. And you can earn as much or as little as you want. There's no sales. There's no quotas. You don't have to tell anybody about it. You don't have to recruit. You don't have to sell anything. You can do 10 letters a week or you can do 100 letters a week. You can do 200 letters a week. Whatever you can fit in the cracks of your day. And I am having so much fun doing it. It's such a good distraction for me. It's very relaxing to actually handwrite, which I haven't done in decades. When I started writing, my brain was like, what are you doing? We don't write. We write letters to David saying like, here's your dinner, David. I'm at volleyball. Or let the dogs out when you get home, kids. Like that's the most I write. And my kids are older now. I don't write letters to teachers anymore. Everything's email, everything's typed, everything's text, everything's digital. So to actually sit down or be outside and write is so relaxing. I almost feel like it's like bringing me back to my childhood at elementary school or like I'm a secretary or something. And it took a hot second for my brain to get used to writing. When I first started, I felt really, really, really tired. I'm like, do I have mono? Do I have Epstein-Barr? Like, what is happening? I am like falling asleep at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday, sitting up. Like, I can't keep my eyeballs open. I had to take a break. So my brain, there was some muscle memory that I had to do. But it's so much fun. And I love teaching people how to do it because they can have success. And I love teaching it for college students, for elderly people on fixed incomes, busy moms who just wanted a little extra income, for travel sports or upcoming holiday or an upcoming vacation, to stock it away and plan accordingly. If you're interested, send me an email at coachingkelly@aol.com or on Facebook or on Instagram, or send me smoke signals and just say letter writing. Tell me more, like from Greece. And I will hook you up with the training, which is so fun. It's so light and fluffy. It's so easy. It's very, very detailed. And it's like one of those, I could have had a V8. And I purposely wanted to vet this and be the guinea pig for Lily because you have to be 18. And so I thought this would be great for something for her to do when she's in college. And then I fell in love with it myself. So I wasn't planning on sharing it because I didn't think I would fall in love with it as much as I do. And I only share things that I'm in love with. So if she does it at 18, great. If not, I'm going to keep doing it. And I've fully vetted it. I've been the guinea pig. I've found the loopholes. I've looked for red flags. I found all the pros and cons. And I am sharing it because I love seeing people be successful. And all they have to do is write. It's an introvert's dream come true. So if you're interested, you live in the US and Canada, there's certain states in the United States that are not eligible. But if you're interested, send me an email, smoke signals, or on social media saying letter writing, and I will hook you up, Buttercup. So today we're talking about anger. Anger is a big, big, big reason why people reach out to me or listen to the podcast, because they want to control their anger and they see angry children in front of them and they're like, oh my gosh, they're such a reflection. They're such a mirror of me. But how can I help them stop if I can't stop myself? So I'm going to have you listen to something that I think will really help you. And then I'm going to talk to you about it on the other side.
If you want to stop being angry and irritated all the time, take a walk with me. Anger and irritation often acts as a sign or an indicator of other things going on in the background of your life. And some of you may be sitting there going, oh no, I know exactly what it is. But one of the things you have to ask yourself is the way that you feel right now in this moment, is it proportional to the experience that you're having? The example that everyone likes to give is that you get cut off in traffic and all of a sudden you're ready to light that candle. And some of you might be thinking, I actually have no idea why I'm angry. I just feel it all the time. And if you were to scratch the surface of that just a little bit more, you'd find that you're feeling stressed, dysregulated, and potentially unequipped to handle the situation or circumstances that you're currently in. I also want to remind you that anger is a valid emotion and it's allowed. When we were younger, we were often taught to push those feelings down because it made other people uncomfortable. And at that stage of your life, you were just discovering emotions. You may have heard, it's okay, settle down, suck it up, you'll be fine, or the worst one yet, silence. And the funny thing is, it's not just anger, it's also grief, and believe it or not, joy. So much goes unprocessed, and when we witness this in other people, you might get scared or feel like it's a threat. Or if someone's elated and experiencing joy, you might find yourself avoiding that situation completely. You might be telling yourself that you're broken, but honestly, you're not. But you are experiencing dysregulation and an activated fight or flight response. Many of us have learned or have been conditioned to accept the fact that we're not allowed to have more, because if you do, then you're wrong. You're bad. You should just be grateful for where you are. And you should be. You should absolutely learn to be present and grateful for our circumstances, regardless of outcome. This is where people often talk about lived experiences, but I have lived experiences too. The problem and the pickle we get ourselves into is we try to compare everybody's problems with everybody else's. We say things like, you could never understand. What you have to remember is that most of us are humans and we're just doing the best that we can. That said, many of us have empathy, and it's not that difficult to extend that outward. An example of this would be my comment section, where everybody talks about attachment styles and they believed that, well, I thought I was the only one that felt this way. I thought I was the only one that thought this way. I thought I was the only one that ever went through that. And when you hit that point, welcome to the world of self-awareness. You are not alone. And when you take away sweeping generalizations, things like all avoidance are bad, you begin to see other people in your life as sovereign individuals. Like you, they have a story that is complicated, nuanced, and filled with a variety of emotions. And this brings us back to your purpose on this planet. It's to become who you are capable of becoming, fully embodied, integrated, and in your own frame, authentic. Well, that just sounds like a bunch of woo-woo spiritual nonsense to me. I used to think the same thing, and then I did stuff like read books, begin to learn things about a mind-body-soul connection. And then you find yourself in a particular moment actually practicing presence, looking out at the farm field, all the trees without their leaves, the blades of grass that have overgrown and turned brown. Hopefully it's brighter where you are right now. And then you start asking yourself some serious questions like, why you mad, brah? Why do you keep disturbing your own peace because people don't know how to drive? One of the number one places where anger might pop up is when we're feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, and irritated over our finances. And on that one, I can promise you, you are absolutely not alone. It's been a rough 4 years. A book I just found is by Ramit Sethi. It's called I Will Teach You How to Be Rich. I just started it, but at a minimum, it's hopeful. And I know that feeling of hope getting diminished, especially when you pick up a dozen eggs for $3.95 and the shells are so fragile that they break in your hand. And although I can't help you with any financial challenges that you're going through right now, I can help you begin to regulate yourself. As a matter of fact, you're doing it right now because you chose to take a walk with me. So get out in nature, put your phone away, focus on your breath as you walk for however long you want to walk for. For me, it's usually 7 miles. I've been doing this every day for years with a few skips in between, but for the most part, every day. One of the gifts that it's given me is that I'm no longer an anxious overthinker. But I also paired that with journaling. You'd be surprised at all the thought loops and distortions that you can close out with a practice of daily journaling. The last thing I have for you is called a physiological sigh. It's a double inhale in through the nose and a long exhale out through the mouth. For me, that's become a form of emergency breath work. And a couple of those, I'm back in it. I might even add in there a mental statement of I release my anger, my resentment, my fear, frustration. Someone else added in the comment section, contempt and the desire to hold a grudge. I release all of that because I don't want it, and I sure as hell don't need it.
Wasn't that good? And we're always talking about the root of our anger. And if we can shine some light on the root of our anger, then the anger doesn't have such a hold on us. And what we talk about on the podcast all the time is that every single person in this world has trauma, pain, stress from their past. And so what we do is we hold on to that. And we put it in a little bottle, and it's like a genie bottle. And the unconscious brain just holds on to it because when we're younger, we don't know what to do with that genie bottle. So it just sits there and it's unprocessed. And then we have kids and a spouse, and then they bring up all of our genie bottle stuff. And we're like, why am I so cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs with kids and spouse, but I'm so chill with like my niece and nephew, or if I was a teacher, or when I'm babysitting, or with other people's kids, I'm so calm and so nice. But with my own, I'm not as nice as I want to be, or I'm not as kind, I'm not as soft, I'm not as gentle. Or you might be a doormat where you just like give in to all the things, and you don't have that Goldilocks balance between strict and loving and also not being a doormat. So the genie bottle happens when we're younger or in our 20s, and then we have kids, and then everything comes out of that genie bottle that we've been stuffing for so long. And so the unconscious brain doesn't know the difference between past, present, and future. So it's always holding on to it. And then when something happens, it's like pushing on a bruise. And then it tries to heal that old wound in current time by recreating the setting that is in that genie bottle. So we find different characters to match in our play that are in the genie bottle. So it might be a different person in our play, but it's the same scenario, same scene, different people. And so a lot of times if we were told not to, told to stuff our feelings when we were younger, like he talked about in the audio, when someone is expressing their emotions in ways that we were never allowed to, it's very terrifying. It's very triggering. It's very scary for us. So a lot of times that's where it comes from. Or if we were always told children should be seen and not heard, then guess what? When you're yelling at your kid or yelling at your spouse, you're really yelling, your brain is really yelling at your parent because you couldn't do it when you were younger. So when you know this about yourself and you know where it's coming from, you can shine some light on it and it won't have such a hold on you. And it still exists. It's not like it makes the trauma or pain or stress from the past go away. It just lives in a separate genie bottle. So then you have your own relationship with your kids and you create your own new genie bottle of like, okay, what do I want to model and embody for my kids? And then that is my blueprint. Because there's stuff from your past that you can use as your blueprint. And there's lots of stuff from your past you probably don't want to use as your blueprint. So you can discard that and create a new blueprint. Keep the old genie bottle, put it up on a shelf, and then you create a new genie bottle with your kids because guess what? You're writing on their psyche. You're writing on their unconscious brain. You're writing on their childhood memories. So when they grow up, they're going to have unconscious pain, stress, trauma. Hopefully not derivative from us, but it's going to happen in their childhood or their 20s because that's just life, how life is for all of us. No one gets a free pass without pain, trauma, and stress, which kind of makes us all feel less alone. Because I thought I was the only one. And then I was like, oh, wait, everyone has this. It just shows up in a different flavor. So they're going to have that same thing. So we want to teach them strategies and tools and normalize it for them as much as possible. Because when we normalize it now, it'll be normal for them later. Like, oh, this is part of the human experience. This isn't something I need to stuff in a genie bottle. This is something I can process or just allow and not try to hold down that beach ball underneath water and not try to push it down. Because that resistance causes a lot of the pain and a lot of stress and a lot of the trauma versus allowing it. And yeah, we can be angry. We can't hit, but we can be angry. That's a normal emotion. What's a different way that we could express it? What's a different way that we can show it? Well, what does mom and dad do? That's going to be their first line of defense. Is what does mom and dad do? What do my coaches do? What do my siblings do? What do my teachers do? Those are all role models for them. So we just have to be the best role model that we can for them because they are always teaching us where we need to grow. And they are going to absorb a lot from us, but we're also not that powerful. They're going to absorb a lot that has nothing to do with us. So we don't want to take responsibility for all of it. And we want to take responsibility for none of it, because they're their own thriving spirit. They're their own sovereign being. They're separate from us. They came through us. They didn't come from us. And once you can know that, you're going to be like, oh, I'm not taking responsibility for all of this, because then we're just beating ourselves up every time a kid shows a negative emotion. Oh my gosh, he got that from me. Oh my gosh, he got that from dad. Like, we're not that powerful. No, they just got it from being a human. That's where they got it from. And what can I do to have my side of the street be as clean as possible and show up in the way that I want them to show up? And they're not always going to show up the way we want to show up. And we're not always going to show up the way we want to show up. And we're definitely not always going to show up the way they want us to show up. So when we just allow all the flaws and all the awesomeness to exist, then we can all be flawsome together, and we're not running from our flaws, and we're not trying to be perfect, and we're shooting for B-, and then it allows our kids to shoot for B- too. And guess what happens then? You have much more harmony in the home. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. Hey mamas, thanks for listening. If you had any ahas, clicks, or those lightning bolt moments while listening, you have to check out my free parenting bootcamp, where we take all of this to the next level and we try to create even more awakenings for ourselves so that we can connect more with our kids and never yell at them again. You can sign up at www.coachingkelly.com. And if you really want to fill up my love cup, send me an email of what your aha was, what your click was, what was that lightning bolt moment while you were listening. I want nothing more in life than for you to have harmony in your home and to learn how to be an imperfect mom like me, which allows your kids to be imperfect too, each and every day. Thanks for listening.